Have you ever tried manifesting more money by doing the opposite of what everyone suggests? Well, that's what attracted 5 figures consistently every month this year to me and dozens of my clients too. So in this video, I'm going to show you what the law of reversibility is and how to easily apply it the way that Neville suggested so that you can see speedy results too. Let's take something simple like water. Now, everyone agrees that water can become ice and ice can become water. One state can transform into the other. Well, that's reversibility. So imagine someone gives you flowers. You'd instantly feel grateful, happy, and loved, right? And that's natural because the flowers created that feeling. But reversibility says that it works both ways. If you feel grateful, happy, and loved before the flowers, then life finds ways to bring you more of the same circumstances, maybe even someone gives you flowers. Neville Goddard explained it like this: if a physical fact can produce a psychological state, then a psychological state can produce a physical fact. So in other words, if A can produce B, then B can produce A. And that's why feeling is the secret. It's not about waiting until the money shows up before you feel prosperous, or waiting until you're in love before you feel love. That's backwards. The feeling comes first. And just like brushing your teeth, it's not enough to feel it once in a while either. It's got to be done on a daily basis unless you want inconsistent results or a smelly breath. Neville gave a brilliant example in his book Prayer, The Art of Believing. He said for a long time, scientists knew that speech caused mechanical motions in the throat, but they never imagined the reverse was possible, that you could take mechanical motion and reproduce speech until the phonograph. And the same goes for electricity. Everyone knew that friction could produce electricity, but not everyone thought electricity could produce friction, yet it works both ways. That's reversibility, and when you get this, you start to see the pattern everywhere. You don't have to wait for your bank account to grow before you feel wealthy. The feeling itself is the cause, and the outer world eventually reflects it back because the outer world is just the effect. The key really is to feel something real that isn't actually there yet. But how do you do that? Well, let me show you. Every day, set aside 5 minutes, close your eyes, and visualize what it would feel like to receive more money. And don't just see the numbers, feel it. Feel that excitement, that gratitude, and I want you to milk those emotions. Stretch them out and step into them as if they was happening in your life right now. But if feeling comes first, what's the actual tool to use to generate those feelings, especially when nothing's changed yet? Well, let me show you so you can stop chasing money and start drawing it to you like a magnet. When I first became a consultant for Bob Proctor's company, the Proctor Gallagher Institute, no matter how hard I worked, I just could not enroll clients. And my inner speech was, why am I not enrolling clients? Why is it so hard to enroll clients? And I'll tell you one thing for free. My work ethic definitely wasn't the problem because I've always been a massive action taker. So I was reaching out to people every day. I was posting on social media, booking sales calls, practicing my presentation. So on the outside, I was doing everything right. So you can imagine how frustrated I was seeing other consultants do half the work, but they was killing it. What's crazy as well is that before I became a consultant, I already had a business and I shut it down so I could give this full attention, which I would not recommend, by the way, especially if you've got kids and a family to provide for. But in other words, I had no backup plan, no second income, nothing to fall back on. If I didn't make this work, I was finished. So I started searching for answers because I knew something was missing. And I went to see Arash Usagi at his event in London. And Arash was one of Bob's best ever students. And I waited until everyone left so I could speak to him one-on-one. And I said, Arash, I'm doing everything. I'm disciplined, I'm working hard, I'm on the phone, but it still feels impossible to enroll clients. And do you know what? Looking back now, I know he felt how frustrated and pissed off I was. And I'll never forget this. He looked me dead in the eye and he said, Joel, you're disciplined with your actions, but you're not disciplined in your thinking. Now, that didn't sink in straight away, but when it did, I knew Arash was right because it was my inner speech. I was rehearsing struggle with every single thought I was having. Why is this so hard? Why isn't it working? I was literally affirming the result that I didn't want. So I made a decision. My goal was to get into Bob Proctor's Circle of Excellence, which meant I had to enroll 20 clients in 12 months. And from that day forward, every time I thought of my business, my inner speech was, wow, I am top 1% of Bob Proctor's consultants worldwide. Then January came round and I enrolled 7 clients in a single month, more than I'd ever done before, and it just kept building and the momentum just carried me forward. And eventually, yes, I hit the goal. Top 1% of Bob Proctor's consultants worldwide. Now, bear in mind, my actions did not change. If anything, I did less. It was my inner speech. Your inner conversations are creating your outer results, whether you believe it or not. Every time you say to yourself, why isn't it working? You're rehearsing failure. I'm telling you, it's impossible to outwork your thinking, but you can outthink your old results. Neville put it perfectly in Awakened Imagination. He said, observe your inner speech and remember your aim. Do they match? And then he goes on to say the right inner speech is the speech of fulfilled desire. But how do you make it match? Well, let me show you. Step 1, write down a specific amount of money that you want to manifest. Step 2, when you're in bed tonight, come off the phone, go into the silence and have a mental conversation as if you just received the money. So an example would be, wow, it feels so amazing that I've just received $50,000. I can buy my car, I can put the deposit on the house I want, book a trip with my kids, and I feel so happy and grateful that I can do all of these amazing things. So now you know how the law of reversibility works, but if you can't hold the feeling, your results are going to fall apart. So watch this next video where I'll show you the 5 fastest ways to stay in the feeling so your results stick.